Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nicole. I am here with someone I've been trying to get, y'all. He's been so hard to get. Mr. JJ Foster, introduce yourself to the people and tell them what you do here.
What do I do, man? Hey, first off, it's a pleasure being on. I've got a chance to look at your podcast, and I see some of your past interviews, and I look at it as an honor. And as somebody that's in the podcast space myself, I love watching other people's stuff and viewing content. And anytime we get information out to the community, is a good thing. So when you say, what do I do here? We actually see us in the Hall of Fame over here at Southside. I'm the head boys basketball coach at Southside. I've been coaching since 1992 when I got back to Fort Wayne. I actually started on the college side and coached at Indiana Tech for 3 years before I left there and went to Harding. Harding closed down on me, and then that started my exodus. But I left Harding, went to Wayne, was at Wayne for a couple of years. A lot of people know I was at Bishop Lewis, was there for about 4 years. Had a team, went to semi-state, was this close to go into state.
Yeah.
And when I left Bishop Lewis, I've been at Southside for 8 years, which we've been here. It's been a great journey, getting to touch young people in their lives and trying to mold these young men. And we had a good degree of success this year, 17 wins. Proud of that. Would have liked to have won sectional, but got beat by
next time.
Yeah, next time. That's it. That's it. Got everybody coming back. So I mean, that's definitely going to be the goal. And I mean, competition in Fort Wayne, as we know, is a big thing. But in addition to coaching, I do loans for Lake City Bank. So shout out anybody need a loan mortgage. And when I say I'm in the podcast space, our neutral voices, as you said, and we're all about collaborating and doing things with the community. So not only do I do, or am I a part of a sports podcast in which we talk sports with the community, but also a financial podcast, and sit down just like you're doing right now and do one-on-ones with any interesting stories or anybody passing through town. I've been blessed, been able to interview first runner-up Miss America, our illustrious mayor, at a galley of professional athletes from Rod Woodson to Flozell Adams, who played for the Cowboys. So it's been fun. It's been good. And like I said, anytime somebody gives me the opportunity to sit down, I'm always willing to be a part.
Awesome. Now, why this school and why this sport? Do you coach other sports also?
No, I'm basketball. If anybody knows, basketball has been something that's been good to me and my family. I tell people all the time. My mother has 3 kids, and she came out of her pocket, 0 cents to put us all through college. One of my brothers has his master's, and again, she didn't pay any money. Another brother started his master's, but then got off into doing his own thing, and he's doing all right. So he didn't need his master's.
He's doing okay.
But at the end of the day, anytime I can sit down and I talk to people, and we talk about using the sport and not letting the sport use you. That's what my family is all about. Student athletes and using your sport as a vehicle to better yourself. So when we talk about sports, why this one is because that's all I know pretty much.
Okay.
Is basketball and young people really bettering themselves. And no, I love Southside. I mean, if you think about all the schools that I've actually coached at, Harding, Wayne, Lures, and Southside, what do they have in common? We all on this end of town, and that's not by accident. That is intentional. And I love being over here. Love being where I can help my folks, my community, and just be a positive asset, positive role model. And like I said, I played at a small Division 1, and if I can get guys to that level, then I think if that's the worst they're gonna do, they're doing all right.
All right. Wow. So what do you think is one of the most important qualities to have as a coach?
First off, I say patience, and with that, I use this caveat: the qualities of a coach and the qualities of a teacher are exactly the same.
Okay.
You know, anytime you're teaching young people, you have to approach things how you were raised and what is your norm isn't the norm in every household that's out there.
Right.
Your expectations may be clear to you, but you have to relay that and get the young person to understand. And again, this, player A his best strategy may be he likes things you write on the board in his sight. But player B, it might be, verbal. Player C is you got to walk me through this. So it's up to you as a coach to, figure out what those learning strategies are, how to best get your message through to your team. So again, that patience is the key because I see and there's a lot of people that have come up, especially old school. Man, I don't know how you do it. Hey, you do a great job.
Yeah.
But I could do it. But yeah, it's that. Honestly, it keeps me young, and it's funny. The older that you get, and you make references, when I first started out, I'm making references to Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins. These kids have heard of Mike, but Dominique, like who? Oh yeah, I see everybody play with him on a video game. So you have to change it up what you're doing. Luka Doncic, current guys. Steph is still out there, LeBron, but you're referencing. Oh, definitely music. You got to stay up on the music because I couldn't talk about some of the old school stuff that we listen to. You like what?
So, what do you think is the most difficult part of being a coach?
Woo, the difficult part is funny. And you know what? The most difficult can be rewarding and can be the best. But again, everybody out there that's gonna hear is already gonna know what I'm gonna say because when you're dealing with young people, it's a lot of times like parents. You got parents, and just like I talked about the different styles of learning that a kid may have. Again, you got people come from different households and different expectations, and everybody wants their child to shoot all the balls, wants their child to get the back of legs. So it's a learning process for parents as well. And like I said, with that, you have a lot of parents that understand and they buy in and they're about the team. And that's exactly what they talk about. Hey, what can my child do to help the team? And they're with it. Or they call up and say, hey, coach, I was watching my son. He didn't get XYZ done. I've been on him, So, hey, I want you to coach him up. I mean, you love those type of parents. But, there are some that have unrealistic expectations. And you have to navigate that. A lot of times, if that parent is dealing with a coach, dealing with me, I'm gonna keep me personally. If that parent is dealing with me personally and not saying anything else, that's good. But when it starts to become a distraction and it's messing with the team, the other parents, that's when it becomes a problem. But other than that, I'm not above reproach and I get it, but that's the thing you always have to remind parents, and whether it's myself or another coach, because that's everything that happens here in Fort Wayne. People pick up the phone, there'll be another school. Oh, this coach ain't doing this and that. And I have to stop and say, hold on, okay, so now his goal and objective is to win. Your only connection here is your son. That's all you are interested in. A coach has the totality of the team that he has to worry about. And at the end of the day, his goal is to win. So why is he not going to play his best kids or the kids that's getting it done? Doesn't even make sense, But you'll get that rhetoric out there.
Kickback, yeah. Wow. So as a coach, so you're involved in so many players' lives. Have you ever found yourself having to get involved with home issues?
You just said it. It goes along with it. That's exactly right. I mean, if you're an effective coach, I mean, that's exactly right. Or a compassionate coach. And what you have to understand about me, everybody knows the Fosters in basketball. And so, hear it a lot. Oh, we know you coach. But the reality is, since I got back in Fort Wayne in 1992, I've always worked with family and children. So I've been, I've worked at Division of Family and Children. I worked juvenile probation. We've had group homes, Fort Wayne Housing Authority, Fort Wayne Urban League. So everything that what you're talking about, I'm dealing with that young person. I'm dealing with that family and helping people navigate, get resources, solving problems. And that's exactly the same thing I do on this team. Been blessed with a great staff over here too. that they get it, the big picture.
Okay.
And our kids, and I think, for the most part, our families understand that too. We're willing to do whatever we can within our power to help folks out, meet them wherever they're at. And that's, I'm not in the building, but I'm known to be over here at lunchtime, poking my head in, talking, keeping up with what the kids are doing. A lot of the teachers over here, they understand that, the administrators. So, if I got somebody's having a bad day, they might call me and you need to talk to such and such.
Okay.
So then, hey, I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna talk to such and such, and we'll get that in.
Okay, okay. Now, a question I asked another coach, and you may have already answered this, but how do you ensure you're not only coaching the players on your team, but also mentoring them?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question, but the bottom line is that's what I do all day, every day
Yes.
as a mentor. I understand who I am when I walk out the door. I understand who's on my team, who it is that I'm coaching. So, there's a lot of things that I may do or may not do because I know, yeah, I do have eyes on me. Young people go emulate you. They need a role model. They need somebody to, look up to. So it's all about how you handle certain situations, how you talk to them. One of the things like I tell my parents and they get it. I don't do a lot of cussing at these kids. I say words anything other than the cuss word, just because let them know. I mean, cussing doesn't get you any more credit, whatnot. So that's just one example. But yeah, like I said, being a role model, I get it. I have mentors and role models myself, and it's funny because
Awesome.
they'll remind me and they'll say certain things, like people comment all the time how I dress, at games, and they said, hey, I got an OG that he comes up and he'll give me a hug after every game. He said, man, I just love watching you coach. He says, you over there, you always, you suited up or whatever you have. He said, you talking to these guys as young men. He says, you're not walking around here with your pants sagging. You're not cussing kids out, hat to the back. He said some of this stuff that, I see on the internet or I might even be watching, news highlights. He said, you always are representing, yourself, your school, your family, you represent everybody well. And I mean, yeah, that doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Good, good. This question here is a two-parter. What do you feel are the greatest skills that are developed as a coach? And then what are some skills you feel are developed as a player?
Huh. That's funny. Well, you said it's a two-parter, but I say it's one and the same.
Okay.
Because honestly, one of the things I tell my kids all the time that I coach, I said, you guys want to know the difference between me as a player and as a coach? And then look, I said, there are none. My position I played was a point guard. As a point guard, you got to know what position, what everybody does on that floor. You have to be the leader. Somebody not doing what they're supposed to do, that point guard is going up there talking to that guy. So you have to know, how to get across. Is it general encouragement? Is it this guy can handle it? I can be a little more stern. All that stuff I learned, as a player. My college teammates, keep up with me in coaching. And whenever we come across, people like, hey, JJ ain't coaching. Oh, imagine that. Everybody, we knew he was a coach. So everybody, my college coach, says it all the time. What? Yeah, you coach. What's the big deal? So when you say that, that's exactly it. I learned everything on that journey as a player. I brought with me the coaching, emulated, and in addition to what I learned and did as a player, but just emulating all the coaches that I had. Going to coaches clinics and you learn stuff. So it's a constant thing too, because it's not like I want to be stuck in 1992.
Right.
This game has evolved. Not, with the way kids behave, to the rules of the game, to the offenses that you run. So you have to constantly evolve. And it's funny because with technology and where we are, I mean, even if I wouldn't go to one coach's clinic, there's so much stuff that they send you via email, that you're pulling up. You got resources at your disposal.
Okay.
And, I'm one too, just sitting up, I can, watching the game. I might be watching an NBA game, NCAA game, whatever the case may be. Somebody runs a nice play. I'm emulating. I'm stealing. So.
He's emulating.
Hey, any coach will tell you it's all right to steal every drill. I took my kids out of AAU team not too long ago, and we went to watch the Final Four. We went to the Final Four practices. We watched all four teams practice. Every team that was there used a drill or two that we had did. And all of them, coach, we do that same drill. Coach, that's our drill. And I just laughed. I said, man, I got this stuff from a college coach. And that's what he always said. You know, that's what you do. People, you borrow, you take, you steal. That's good.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, so you did just touch on, how it's been evolving. And so I wanted to know if that makes it easier or harder because the generations have changed. The kids are not like they're not like they were back when I was coming up.
Correct.
So but does that make it easier or harder?
It definitely don't make it easier. I just mean, and when we say harder, I mean it's just navigating.
Difficult,
Yeah, it's just navigating and understanding it is what it is. And that's just it. Being conscious enough to understand that. I've got tech strands, like I said, college teammates, college guys over here, ex-basketball guys from Fort Wayne, college coaches, these are all my different tech strands. So these are all conversations that I'll have with the people that watch our games. Like I tell our kids it all the time, with the Summit broadcast and people watching our games. And I have, different conversations. But on my old school techs over here, everybody, like I say, hey, I had a kid, he showed up, he was 20 minutes late to practice. Oh, he needs to sit down. I wouldn't play him. Boom, boom. They're all going back to how they were raised, and how it was during our era. And again, some of the stuff that they go, I say, that still don't make it right. I said, fellas, understand this. And then when you talk about you in certain schools, I mean, you're dealing with different challenges. So when you talk about transportation and things, I mean, some kids might not make the practice unless, somebody in your staff go get them. So people, got one car. Mom might have to work, whatnot. So again, yeah, but she gonna make it work how she can. So she gonna be a little bit late. So I tell people I'm an old school guy, but I'm flexible in that, and there are caveats. And again, my big thing is communication, and that's what I preach to my kids and to my family. And they all know. I mean, we communicate, we talk, and things work themselves out. But to what we're talking, yeah, it's a lot of things that went on and the ways you can talk to kids.
Yes.
No, these kids now, no, they definitely sensitive, and but again, you navigate around it and we handle things. And you move forward, keep it moving.
Okay. Now, what do you think has been your proudest moment as a coach?
My proudest moment.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh-wee.
Do you have just one or just one that just
No, I mean it would man, my proudest. I don't know, probably I'd have to say winning that the first state. And when we were at Hardy, we won state, and I was assistant then. But I mean, that heck of a coach staff. Shout out to Big Al Gooden and Bruce Stevens. But we won state, and that was the first time a team from Fort Wayne had won state since '73.
Oh wow!
So and you can imagine, so the community got behind us, and like I said, I love it. And where Harding was, if you remember, it was the closest thing to Central High School to being Central. So a lot of the Central grads, that's what they gravitated towards us. We were their team. And as we were down there playing and calls that go your way, didn't go your way, and things was happening, and you look up in the stands and I see, my elders up there, hey, praying and getting upset, and again, see, I understand. I was raised to understand my history. So when I looked up there and I think, we ran a press, we were up maybe 3 and we did a press. Again, had to argue it out. Let's do this press. But we did it, just was cautious. We tried to get a steal. The kid actually kicked the ball out of bounds. The ball went out of bounds and just saw elation and stuff go out of people's heads. So yeah, I think that was that's something that I think about. That was big.
Awesome. That was big. That was big. Wow. Okay, now this is my final question for you. And it's a question I love to ask people. I ask every person I interview because I love to hear their response.
Mm.
Have you ever wanted to quit, and what did that moment look like?
Quit coaching? Man, I would have quit every year. I want a year to year contract. Um, no, and I say that there hasn't been a time that I said I wanted to quit due to any circumstances. You know, I'm 55, and so again, coaching is a heck of a time commitment, and that's what people don't get. And it's funny because it's not like, you know, we get a stipend, so it's not like people think, oh, you coach over there, like you making some big bucks.
Right.
Now, hey, back in the day, coaching went from October to March. He was done. You know, now coaching is year round, and I mean, his expectations and you know, requirements put on you by the athletic director, by your staff, because hey, you got planned for the summer. Because now you can work with your kids, you know, a couple of days a week. And then in the month of June, you know, you can have your team. So I mean, you look up, yeah, it's year round.
Wow.
It's year round, and it is a grind. But honestly, when you get kids that buy in, that's listening to you, that's hardworking, there ain't no better feeling. I'm with it. I mean, it's like it lets me know why I do it. When you get guys that's, you know, listening to you, and you know, like, you know, guys I got right now, good young group, young men. But when you get, you know, it does. It's tough when you get kids want to do their own thing, no more than you know, and not really committed. And here you are committed.
Yeah.
And you know, there's all kind of things I could be doing. I'm looking at people Facebook, they at the lake every weekend, or they doing this, that, the other, they traveling. And you know, no, I'm staying here. I got practice. I got this. Which, like I said, as long as everybody else is just as committed, I do it time in, time out. But it does get frustrating where you don't have that same level of commitment.
Okay, I get that. I understand that. Wow. Okay. Whew. Okay, we finally got them, y'all. And so go ahead and plug your podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, well, I appreciate that. And again, I'm doing pretty much the same, sitting here talking. For you all that haven't seen Respect the Game, Respect the Game is a panel of sports folks. And we sit there, we just talking sports. We talk anything from, you know, obviously hot topics that's going on right now, or we're bringing on celebrating Fort Wayne's athletes. We've had different state champions that have come on. We brought the coaching staffs on to, you know, whoever may be around in the neighborhood that day. And just the whole panel of folks, and we just sit around talking sports. It's good. But that is the first and third Thursday at 8:30. We shoot live.
Okay.
For anybody that wants to shoot, that wants to tune in, and then for anybody trying to better themselves financially, you know, our financial podcast, all about the money. We shoot the first and third Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. And that's myself and Ryan Lepper. We co-host that. And again, we bring in, just had John Dortch was our guest last week. But again, we're just talking, bringing in different people from the banking industry, talking about anything from budgeting to home ownership to whatever, you know, it is finances. Just want to try to, again, empower folks, help folks so that they can do better. This year, though, 2025, we actually want to focus on young people, because we know that's laying that foundation is where we want to hit. So if you know of anybody or anybody out there has a group of young people that wants to get involved, I'm in the process of putting together, you know, a program where we're going to do something probably once a month with them, working on the curriculum, because every bank, you know, Lake City, we have a curriculum that's, you know, developed by the FDIC, and they have something that's geared towards young people. But in addition to that, you know, we like to do like a monthly podcast where we're focusing on youth and finances. So yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, our Duke Voices, yes.
Awesome. Okay, you have the information. Make sure you tune in. Okay. You guys, I thank you so much for joining us here at NECAL with Mr. JJ Foster. Have a great day, and don't just have a great day, but make it a great day for somebody else.